Welcome, everybody. Mark O'Donnell here with Operations Excellence Podcast. This is episode number 11. I'd love to welcome in our guest for today, Mr. Adam Feck. Adam, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mark.
So glad you could make it and join us.
I appreciate it. This is I've seen some of these and it's quite exciting.
We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun. Adam is the president of Forward 46 and co-founder of the Strategic Executive Alliance. Forward 46 is a fractional revenue growth officer practice, and the Strategic Executive Alliance is first of its kind, cooperative, fractional executives who collaborate with one another in local businesses to provide otherwise out of reach, and I'm assuming typically not affordable,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Executive support. And this is for companies that are ready to scale or fail. And with that, again, welcome, Adam. Why don't you take a few minutes and tell our audience a little bit about yourself, how you got into where you're at now with those organizations?
I'm happy to. So it's a journey, and that's like one of the things we talked about. I'm like, what's a story? So everyone's got a story. So here's mine. It's just mine. That's where it starts. But it really starts in Potsdam. That's where I went to school. I grew up in the Albany area. And went up to Potsdam and made it out in four years. I did, and with concentration really in anthropology and philosophy, which I now argue is the incredible background for a career in sales and revenue operations. I really do. I wanted to teach, right? That's why I went up there, and I still am pleased to still have the opportunity to kind of scratch that itch in a lot of different ways. I'm sure we'll talk about. But after that, I started parking cars, as most SUNY grads tend to do, some of them anyway, at the Sagamore in Lake George. And one of the gentlemen that I was working with at the time, meaning parking his car, offered me a position to drive around the Capital District and deliver medical devices to hospitals ahead of surgery. So ahead of orthopedic, joint replacement surgery, trauma surgery. The stuff has to get there early, get cooked, get wrapped, get ready, make sure everything's there so that the salesperson, believe it or not, can show up into the operating room. And when the patient's draped and ready to cut, and they're there to maintain the inventory, manage the instrumentation to make sure that the scrub tech stays a step ahead and answer technical questions with regard to how many millimeters the distal femur needs to be cut, these sorts of things. So I prepped those guys and did okay for about 8 months until they asked me to go into Ellis Hospital on like a Tuesday, find Mark, who's at the front desk. He'll walk me to the operating room, give me scrubs. I should go into room number 2. Don't touch anything blue because it's all sterile. And don't let him put a left femur in a right leg. So for those of us that do any sales training, that leaves a lot to be desired with respect to sales training.
Yeah, right.
But that was it, Mark. I mean, seriously, that was it. They're like, you know the stuff. Just
So at that point, that was where you went from delivery guy to
delivery
sales.
boy. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And that's basically also where I lost my job and became gainfully unemployed as an independent rep for Depew Orthopedics, which was eventually bought by Johnson & Johnson Orthopedics while I was there, as a 1099. And they said, okay, here's a pager. Like you probably remember.
Oh, sure.
Anyway, it was
Back in the
I
day.
could still sing the little song it made, trauma response and everything. So all night I would listen for this pager and shoot down to Albany Med to do trauma surgery, rods and long bones, plates and screws, helmets. People get broken, you put them back together. So I would go in.
But you had to learn pretty quickly then and know some pretty detailed technical stuff.
Yeah, and language. I was just talking to somebody about this. It was like a completely different language.
Yeah.
So for anyone, now I'm an EMT and in the fire service, we'll get to that. But nonetheless, it's a different way of talking. It's a different way of addressing the body, like everything right down to like when you're looking at an x-ray, it's actually facing you.
Yeah.
So what's on your right is the left. Weird things like this, right? So yeah, I had to learn all that. But I learned it while I was driving. Driving medical implants around is not the most exciting work. So I would take the stuff home at night, dump the instruments out on the floor, put them back together while reading the technique. I prepped. I was ready. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just bored otherwise.
So you were teaching yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a history of that, I guess. But so that's what I did. I did that for like 20 years,
Wow.
almost. For 3 years, I went inside to Johnson and Johnson. They poached me. They were like, "All right, you're going to go and launch computer-aided surgery, which is now sort of everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
robotic.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing joint replacements and day surgery now. It's crazy."
Mm-hmm.
So that was the genesis of this. And if you've ever been in an orthopedic operating room, the answer to the problem is usually hit it harder.
Not something I want to watch.
No,
I'm
oh,
gonna,
it's so much fun. And I'm exaggerating. Like there's great work done by people
Sure.
and all this. But nonetheless, this was a highly precision computer delicate piece of equipment. It was otherwise foreign to that audience.
Right.
So I worked in Boston and in New York and all the hospitals and all the primary, these surgeons who develop knee replacement surgery in the 60s and 70s. I was working with them to test this computer. So I did that for like 3 years, and I was on the road too much, just all day, all week, just too much. That's what moved me out here. In '05, I had the opportunity to go back out in the field, leave J&J.
Mm.
That 3 years is really the only time I had like gainful employment.
Hmm.
Leave J&J, come out here. I had 2 daughters at the time. My third was born out here on a leap day, so she's a leapling. And moved out here to take over the central New York territory. Cortland, basically Ithaca, Bingham, to Oswego, this whole big territory. Worked primarily at St. Joe's and all the hospitals locally. I built a team of 1099s so that I could be all different places at once. I picked up other lines like bone, eyeballs, just tissue. Like you could sell this stuff. And bracing, I had a storefront on Erie Boulevard for a short amount of time for arm slings, all that stuff. And it just got crazy. When I moved here in '05, I started that. In '07, I joined the Manlius Fire Department as a volunteer. Proudly. Loved it. Still do. I became a chief. So, you climb the ranks because you just don't know how to say no. And became a chief. We built a new firehouse, and it's a combination department. So there's paid staff and volunteers and collective bargaining, and I have a full-time job. And it became a lot. So I stepped back from the medical thing. I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know why. I think that's maybe another podcast, but I was just like, it's time for a change.
Right.
And in the firehouse, we were developing a product called I Am Responding, which is software at the time, became basically app-based primarily, which
Right.
is pager goes off, system goes off, tells you where to go, who's coming, all the stuff you need to know from a leadership perspective in the fire service. Sold that out of a office in Widewaters in DeWitt and to over 10,000 fire departments, just over a third of the departments in the country. And then
Wow.
that company got purchased and back to corporate. And it just wasn't a cultural alignment, I'll say. I wanted to work harder than I was working and in different ways. And we parted ways. And in very late 22, early 23 is when I started with Forward 46.
Okay.
Which is a way to just help take all of that stuff I just rambled through, business development in a pretty high stakes environment.
Yep.
And leadership in a high stakes environment, and apply it to small and medium sized businesses that, like you said in the intro, they're ready to scale, or they think they are. So that's me, man. I appreciate the invite. Like I said, there's a lot of words in there, and there's a lot of stuff to cover, but that's where it all comes from.
Yeah.
That's where it all really comes from.
And I love it. And full disclosure, you and I have had three sit downs, and I think our first one was one of those discussions where all of a sudden an hour and a half in, we're like, oh yeah, we got stuff we're supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a great, I've told you this, and I think you agree that it was really just an organic connection. And I think a lot of it is because even though our stories are very different in some ways, I think we share some similar beliefs that we've learned along the way. And one of them you said early on is when you were talking about your early career in education is that you wanted to be a teacher. And, it's funny, I never thought of that early on, but during the course of my career, it dawned on me like, that could be a possible retirement gig. Like maybe I'll go become an adjunct professor. And in some respects, what I do now, I mean, I literally have some of my clients call me their teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and I take that as a compliment.
It is, I imagine. Yeah.
And so I think beyond that, I think our concepts of business and how it is all about relationships and how to build those, and so much of this, I think we do share some very common ground. And you're right. I think everybody has a story, and it is unique, and that path is not necessarily linear, and it certainly isn't something that we drew up as a 20-something. In many cases, it was an organic, like, this is the path as it worked out.
I feel like I've, in recent years, and in large part because of some of the strong relationships I've been able to build, and since I went from that like national sales persona to more of a local, I want to make an impact here.
Right.
The number of just absolutely fantastic people in this area it's encouraging.
Yeah.
It's tremendously
I
encouraging.
agree.
It's just every
110%.
time I turn around, there's just somebody that I'm like, where have you been?
And I think,
wait a minute.
I think that's another common ground. And I was just saying this just yesterday in a conversation with a friend of mine, how it's so strange because, right, I worked in local companies mostly, right? I moved away for a few years, but mostly in the manufacturing world. And so there's lots of people locally that I met directly and indirectly through that. But there's a whole nother group of people, business owners, executives, professionals, that I just didn't run into because they weren't in my circles of travel, or if you want to call it that. And I've been introduced to that in the last 4 years, and it's been just amazing. There's like this whole other ecosystem and group of people out there. And you're right, there are so many amazing stories, business owners and executives. And that's one of the great things about this podcast. I've brought several of them that I've met on here and get to listen to more of their stories and share that with the listeners. So
it's, the context is so important.
Yeah.
We all got here somehow.
Yeah.
And we're all going through it.
Yep.
So it's, how do we talk a lot about, like, my colleagues, my business partner in particular, we talk about leading with value.
Yep.
And to me, that's the teaching that I do, right? I'll give it away. In the fire service, we talk about awareness level and operations level.
Yeah.
And I bring as many people as I can to awareness level. Just give it away.
Sure.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
And for those that can take it and operate, Godspeed. I wish you all the best. And those that need help operating, I'm here for you.
Right.
As are you.
Yeah.
If I don't do the thing you need, I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
I find more value in trying to make the proper connection. And that's back to the operating room.
Yep.
When a patient would get opened up and it's a revision and there's like a competitive implant in there's nothing you can do unless it all comes out, which is usually not in the best interest for the patient.
Right.
If it's, we used to call them oil changes,
Yeah.
just femoral head and the poly, like just the two pieces that touch, swap those, and they have to match. So if it's not me, it's not me. I can leave, or I can go and grab the Stryker implants and wheel them into the room
and still help out.
And I can make the call and be like, hey, this is what's going on. Whenever you can get over here, that's the right thing. There's always a patient on the table.
Yeah.
In my head, or the house is on fire.
Yeah.
Like, this is my training. Like, I can't shake it.
But your nature from listening to your story and getting to know you is, how can I help? Right? That's the first question you're asking yourself. And you're right, that is an area where you and I are 100% aligned, is that awareness level and operational level. Yeah, absolutely. Like any of the quote unquote secrets I know, I'm more than happy to share that. And if that helps you and you can walk away and go back into your business and make it operational and execute it, Godspeed. Right? I've made a friend. Right? And who knows where that friendship goes in the future. It's not just about making a sale, right? It is about, how can I help you? How can I be of service? Right? That's, I look at that totally aligns with my life purpose, right? How can I add to the stream of life, right? How can I be of service?
That's just some sales training and stuff like that. I call it sales craft because I really think it's like, there's more to it than, reading whatever's on the piece of paper or whatever.
Right.
But I talk about improv a lot.
Yeah.
And that to me this is why I'm the worst HR person you'll ever meet. I'm the worst. I'm in sales. I'm just like, yeah, and like that's my reflex. Yes, and I can make it better. It's the law of agreeability. Like how do we make this better?
Yep.
I'm with you. Go up one.
Yep. Keep that
I can't help it.
moving.
That's why forward, right? Forward. It's just like keep moving forward.
Right.
That's why the company's named that way. It's a direction, not a speed.
Yep.
That's like it's a philosophy.
I love it.
Anyway.
I love it. So what we talked about as the overall premise, and I think you and I could have this whole conversation probably for another hour, but what we wanted to do today was to really try and have some conversation here and kick around some ideas that will hopefully help some local, small to mid-sized businesses that are going to see opportunity here for growth, some of them potentially explosive growth, right, with the Micron project coming and all of the growth in the area that's going to come with that. And we've already seen a ton of changes already. Certainly living out my way in the northern suburbs, we are under construction mania. And, we've all kind of gotten used to it and realized that that's not going to go away. It's going to accelerate and carry on. But the real question I think we wanted to address today is to ask listeners and potential clients or potential new friends out there, are you ready? Are you ready? And do you know if you're ready? What does ready look like? And if you're not, what are some things that you might undertake? So I thought maybe we'd start off kind of kicking that around and maybe at the kind of broadest level and thinking about the organization, right? And this is one of the things I listen for as I ask people, how's business? What's going on with your business? How are things going? And really just opening that door because as you and I both know, business owners and executives love to talk about their business once they know you're really tuned in and really listening. And the things I'm listening for are, how's the communication in your organization? Are you connected? What's your culture like? And I might not ask a direct question, it might be indirect, but I'm trying to kind of tease that out of people. And really, when I think of culture, it's just how everybody in your organization and outside your organization feels when they deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
What's it feel like to deal with you, right? And do they walk away feeling good, scratching their head, hopefully not frustrated, right? Because they probably won't come back again anytime soon if they are. And then, you talk about your employees, things like, what's your length of tenure on average? What's your turnover rate? Are you able to attract and retain quality talent? And that's something certainly over the last handful of years, a lot of people I talk to in the business world, not just locally, but across the country, are struggling with, right? How do I attract and then retain quality talent?
Absolutely.
Right? Because we've seen a big uptick in jumpers, right? People, because right now, if you have any kind of talent and experience, and it's certainly in any field, but certainly the more technical fields, you're able to, if you really wanted today to go make more money, if you're willing to change jobs and maybe relocate, maybe not, you're more than likely able to find that. So what's keeping me where I am, right? So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Let's kick that around as a starting point, maybe.
I think, the word ready, I was thinking about this and there's so many ways to approach this. Like I had a conversation last week with a colleague about this concept of ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
And some of the feedback was telling, and it was like, well, the individual said something along the lines of, I'm more of like a ready, aim, aim, keep aiming. I'm almost ready.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's legitimate. I mean, it's very, very legitimate.
So sure.
It's like a mind bender. Really. But I think of it. I think at its highest level as a sliding scale. Right. If I would encourage no one to wait until they're ready. Necessarily.
Some of this comes down to risk tolerance.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the enemy of good is perfection.
Yep.
Right. So it's a matter of make a decision. take action, evaluate,
Adjust.
make another decision,
That's right.
Adapt and overcome. This
Yeah.
is a fire service thing. Adapt and overcome. So it's like, are we ready? To me, it's the question is like, are you ready to make the decision?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Am I ready to do any number? I'm comfortable with a pretty low state of readiness. I'm willing to have I'll risk it, whatever. But I do think of it as like a sliding scale, and it really kind of comes down to another thought that's been shared with me. It's not original, is this concept of doing it yourself has an expiration date.
Yeah.
So when I think about your question, I think about it relative to that.
Mm-hmm.
And the extent to which the individual knows that in order to scale, something has to happen outside of their 3-foot world. I talk with my daughters, or ever see this thing, they're going to be like, but 3-foot world.
Yeah.
3-foot world. If you can touch it, you can affect it. If you
Yeah.
can't, you got to like deal with it, right? You got to let it go. Whatever it is, whatever you want to do, meditate. Good for you. I do. But that to me is ready. Are you ready to make a decision? And with this idea of doing it yourself having an expiration date, for me personally, until people kind of see that,
Yeah.
that for me from a business development perspective is a sign that there's potential that I can help and there might be a path toward working together.
Yeah.
For people that are like, I got this, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm a small business owner, I'm the CFO, I'm the CMO, I'm the COO, I'm the CTO, I'm all those things. I was until the Strategic Executive Alliance, but nonetheless, it's like,
Right.
You can't be.
Right.
I don't think you can be all those things and be ready to scale.
Right.
You can't scale chaos. Oh, you can scale chaos all you want, but it's not going to work out.
Well, and what happens if you do see this growth and you try to keep all those things under one hat and in one person's hand? And I'll use a great example without using any names. Dear friend of mine who also happens to be a client, 30 odd years ago, they bought a company that had, I want to say it was like 8 branches when it first started. Now, fast forward, they've got 52 branches across 8 states, over 450 employees. And when I first started talking to him 4 years ago as the VP of Ops and Finance, which in and of itself was kind of head scratching, I'd never heard those two titles put together in the same person. So that was a telltale sign. But when I asked him how many direct reports he had, it was well over 50 because all of the branch managers reported to him directly, and then department heads. And when I got done laughing, he kind of shook his head and goes, "Yeah, I know. Like, that's not sustainable." Right? So what had happened is they started off this small family-run business, and it grew, but they didn't change the thinking, right? And now his conversation with me was he was totally open-minded, saying, "Yeah, this is an issue. We've outgrown that thinking. We need change." And I'm totally open-minded to it. And I also accept and understand outside help is a true benefit. I don't have all the answers.
That level of awareness is
That's key.
Yeah.
Right? Because without that, he certainly could have figured some of this stuff out and made some good decisions. But I'd like to think that involving somebody like me helped him move through those processes faster and get to better decisions. And it's not necessarily that I was the answer guy, because that wasn't the case at all. It's just I brought a whole different perspective and helped him gain different perspective as he was making decisions along the way to scale, right? And today, fast forward, he doesn't have that many direct reports anymore. He's built up this mid-level of upper management to kind of step in and take some of that responsibility, and he continues to work in that way.
So from your perspective, I think we both kind of said something similar without using this word. So what extent in your world is like their mindset a factor in their readiness?
Say that again, because I think I know what you're asking, but
to what extent is their mindset part of how ready they think they are and
Yeah.
how ready you think they are?
Yes,
It might be two different things.
for me, it's pretty simple. Are they open-minded and accepting that outside help can be a benefit,
Right.
right? It's either a yes or no. And now sometimes they might be leaning that way and just need a little help getting there. And it's not even like I don't even look at myself as selling. I really don't. And I understand the sales process and the
No
buying
doubt.
process, right? I
Well
mean,
enough to make it not feel like you're selling.
right,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, right, I mean, I want them to see me and I want to truly be a partner, a trusted partner, right, that can provide value for them in whatever way, shape, or form, whether it's one-on-one coaching, whether it's helping them develop a truly executable and then executing the strategic plan.
Right. Operations.
Right, whether it's process stuff, whether it's developing their next level of leaders, whatever, right? There's a certain set of tools, right, that I can bring to the party to help them do that. But very simply put, are they open-minded enough, right? Can they overcome their own hubris, for lack of a better term? And I get it, right? You and I both spent more years sitting on that side of the desk than where we sit now. And so I get it. There was, at times that part of me like, well, I should be able to figure this out. Really? Where's that written? I mean, nobody knows everything, and we're all just a product of our own story and experiences, right? And if I haven't experienced it before, maybe I can't of my own without some additional help, right? And oh, by the way, what I've also learned over the years and try to espouse with leaders and newly minted leaders or aspiring leaders is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you have a problem, right? If you're not surrounding yourself technically with people who are eons beyond you, then you're not surrounding yourself with the right people. I saw, I don't know if it was a podcast, an interview with Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon from Citibank.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yep.
CEO, huge, right? Huge company, very successful. And he was talking about this, and he said, to a room full of executives from Citibank, and he said, listen, once you get promoted to this level, you're not a doer anymore, right? You have to rely. You have to go to so-and-so to get that data, to do X. And they better know how to do it better than you, right? And so now you become the coach. You're calling the play, right? But they're executing it. And I was like, wow, that's exactly right. That's the insight. And a lot of times, right, with executives in smaller businesses or certainly with owners that have built the business from scratch, that first generation, right, they want to hold on to everything. And they're very reluctant, right, because it's my baby, right, and I'm not going to let go, right? And I deal with that with some existing clients right now who are literally transitioning, and now it's the next generation, and it's a battle for them to let it go, and I get it, because it's literally like their child that they have birthed and nurtured and grown, and wow, it's hard to let that go, but helping them get to the point where they can let go, and maybe they never completely let go in their life, but it's slowly passing on different responsibilities, right, and decision making. So
And taking on others.
Yeah.
Right. So that's so much what I see, like with the, like call it change management or whatever you want. Like I'm over here chuckling because we not surprisingly deal with similar challenges from time to time. And in mine, from a sales perspective, especially in smaller companies, most small companies are built by the owners selling the thing,
Right.
themselves as much as the mousetrap, right?
Yep.
So oftentimes, by the time I get involved, it's to operationalize the stuff. We've done really well, but we want to get here.
Yep.
All right, step one, you got to get out of the. I'm pulling you out of the situation.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? Like, how can
yeah.
it be done without me? And I'm like, I'll show you. But yeah, that's back to the mindset.
And if they're not ready to step out, there's not a lot you can do for them.
There's not. I mean, there's things that can be done, but ultimately it's what the biggest concern for me when that's the case is that all the things that aren't getting done. Right? They can stay involved and sell all day long, but then somebody's got to run the company.
Right.
Like that's the whole point why I'm there. Like if I find myself in every meeting that the boss is in, it's like, why this one could have been an email sort of a thing. Like I
Yep.
really am passionate about what can you do? Go buy somebody, go talk to somebody, go do something, go develop something.
Right.
Like, go push the company. I'll drive the sales so that we can pay for it.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Well, what
Right.
do you want to do? I'll do this piece.
Right.
And that's the other thing is, to what are they ready for?
Right.
If somebody says, okay, I'm ready, I want to, do this one little tiny thing. Like, okay, I'm in, I'm helping. I'm more attracted to the big, hairy, scary goals.
Yep.
That stuff is
The BHAG.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun for me. That's
Yeah.
like, okay, let's roll them up.
Yeah. Let's roll up our sleeves and
let's
get after it.
That's the stuff that I get most excited about people being ready for, and I feel like there's a difference in being ready for that small move and being ready for that big move.
Yeah.
And from where I come into, where I approach this thing is actually before revenue starts selling, whatever. It's like the infrastructure has to be there. So that's where I think about people like you, with the operations, and like, we could sell 1 million of these things, but can we sell 1 million of these things?
If I can't execute
can we
it,
get 1 million
I'm
of them out the door?
I'm not going to have happy customers.
No,
Right.
And
right.
it's in sales, a career in sales is it's basically professional capital.
Yeah.
That you develop over time.
Sure.
And like anybody, right? It's our referrals, it's our reviews, it's all this stuff, and overpromising and underdelivering isn't the way to make that happen.
No, that's a poor.
So it's
recipe.
it's that back to ready. What are we talking about? What are we ready for? I'm excited about anything that's going to bring hiring.
Yeah.
To me, and that's where I think that I enjoy our relationship, because what you do as far as coaching the teams and building the teams and leadership development, and that's not what I do. I stay very focused in the sales world,
right?
Because I think it deserves it, and I think that sales training, I think any training is a challenge to execute properly.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, because I think it takes the trainee, if they're not in the learning zone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good the training is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just boink, just bouncing
and that kind of piggybacks on how you couched, that initial question about are you ready? Because I think the way this all boils down, and maybe the key takeaway to the beginning of this conversation for our listeners is, are you ready to accept help? And are you ready and willing to explore making changes that may be uncomfortable? I mean, it kind of boils down to that for the leader or that leadership team. And those are, anybody can say, oh yeah, right? But are you really? Right? Are you really? And I think that's a great starting point for, are you ready? Because it starts with the leader or the leadership. And if they're not ready, then there's really not a lot folks like you and I, or any of the number of other people out there that do similar stuff to us, can help them with, right?
No.
So that's the great question. Are you, as an individual, open-minded? Are you willing and able to set aside your own thinking, right? And ego, right? And overcome that. And that can be difficult, because guess what? You don't get to those positions or have that kind of success without having some of that. So setting that aside, I think, is a great starting point. When you talk about scalability in the sales process and the sales organization, and I want to touch on that some more broadly, because that's another great question. Like, I would always be looking at, if somebody comes to me or we have an initial conversation and they're looking at growth and significant growth opportunities, I'm going to start asking them questions about scalability. And is your process scalable? And certainly from an operations standpoint, let's do some what if. I love what if scenarios, right? And let's take a blank piece of paper and say, okay, here's my sales now, which equates to this footprint for my factory if I'm a manufacturer, and I've got these pieces of equipment and this many people. Okay, now let's double what your output is. Can you handle that? Do you need more space? Do you need more equipment? Do you need more people, right? What are your process? Do you need a whole different process to execute what you're doing? Are there other technologies and processes, right? So now it opens up this whole kind of thought process exercise of, what does it look like? And how quickly can I do it? It opens up a whole nother set of questions, because how quickly can you onboard people? What's the learning curve? what's the impact? Because I'm thinking about my days of running organizations that had significant engineering. And guess what? When I brought a new engineer on, I took a double whack, meaning I'm paying somebody who's not fully productive for anywhere from 6 months to a year, realistically. And this is even experienced people because they may not know our industry, our product, our processes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're paying this person who is not at the top of the learning curve yet. All right. Okay. So that's a spend, and I'm not getting a full return on that investment. That's pretty simple. But now, guess what? I've got at least one experienced engineer that's going to be doing training. Their productivity just went down. Maybe it's 50% for the time they're training. Oh, well, what does that do to my ability to get the throughput right? So you have to understand that process, because just throwing people at something is never a good answer, as you know, right? But I think it's really delving down into the weeds and doing, when I say a what if, that's the level of what if I'm talking about. It's taking it all the way down going, oh, yeah, like it's going to take me legitimately to scale up 6 to 12 months. And here's what it looks like during that time. And here's the steps I need to take. Because now it gives me an actionable plan, right? So if you think about selling, and what kind of process do you take people through? What kind of questions are you asking?
I start. This is so. I can't. I don't play poker.
Okay.
That's why I'm over here giggling. You're talking. I'm like, let me have
In that case, I want to play poker with
yeah,
you.
you do. Everybody does. I suck. I start with why.
Yep.
Which is so interesting. I'm sitting here. This is why I'm because as an engineer, I love the what if game, man. I could play that thing to a fault. And I usually just do it like with myself.
That's why we call it analysis paralysis, because we can go there and stay there.
We used to call it something else in the operating room.
Understood.
I don't know who's watching this, so we'll keep it OR clean. But nonetheless, it's why. So people are like, okay, I want to double, I want to blow up, I want to do this, that, or the other thing. I'm going to start with why.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with what got us here.
There you go.
So just walk me through, the last couple of years. How long we've been doing this? Like what? Why is this? How'd you pick this goal? And some of that is because I'm genuinely curious, like just insanely curious person.
Yeah.
But part of it is because I'm trying to determine whether or not this is going to work. And I think, to me, if somebody's why is very self-motivating and rewarding, I just, my interest level is low. If somebody says, oh, because this thing is awesome and I can double my income, I'm going to go, okay, yeah, I mean, let's get after it. Okay. But if somebody says, because this thing changes lives and I can hire 15 more people, I'm going to go, let's get it on, man. Let's go.
Yep.
So it's going to be I'm going to drop everything and start working for free just to get them up to the point where, like, that's the way it's going to happen.
It's a great question, because it really tells you what motivates them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's their drive?
And what's the... I used to say, like, I don't sell mousetraps. You know what I mean? I know people need mousetraps, but you can go find a mousetrap. Like, I wanna help companies provide solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, like, I enjoy that more. It's just, finally, it's about me. You know what I mean? Now it's my company. I get to pick, and that's who I pick.
Sure.
And who I sort of target and try to build relationships with. And as I'm building relationships as part of my business development process, it's personality. This is how people move through my hourglass.
Yeah.
Is their mindset.
Well, it really gets to a core question, right? Is it a fit or is it not a fit?
Can't force a fit.
Yeah, and you and I have both have talked about this in our one-on-one chats and informally, that, yeah, I mean, I've walked away from potential business because I just knew either it wasn't a fit or the mindset was the opposite of what we've been talking about, right? That I could tell that they weren't open-minded and they weren't
Someone told
ready
them they had
to embrace change.
Someone said I needed leadership training, so I called you.
Right. I had this gut feeling after a few conversations that, yeah, this just isn't going to work well.
Yeah. I think that's where I like to start there, and it really helps me start to devise the process. So I'll start there, and then I'll go straight to the end and go, okay, well, what's the goal? and then I'll try to reverse engineer the process sort
Yep.
of to meet that with different, sales. So you drop off this many here, it's the whole thing. So that's, I start at the beginning, I jump to the end, work backwards.
But that's very similar to the way I work in my process, right? Because it's the same thing. It's okay. Where are we at now? How did we get here? Right? Very important questions to get answers to and to understand as an outsider trying to get a feel for, okay, what's this organization, where are they at today and how did they get here, right? But then where do you want to be, right? And then the questions are, okay, well, what's holding us back, right? Why haven't you been able to get to this place you want to be at? And and then along the way, part of that discussion is listening for, are you ready to do whatever it takes, and are you open-minded to maybe really focus on changing potentially significant beliefs and attitudes you may hold that need to change. And we all have to face that at different times, right? And certainly the hardest thing to change is a long-held belief, right, that has kind of been a core for somebody, and all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, that is no longer applicable. And are you willing to accept that and change that? Have you come across some of that?
I mean, yes, certainly, and I live it
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I consider changes, frequently. Just, well, what can I do better? I do this exercise. I think it's fun. It's just a retrospective. You're an engineer, so it's nothing crazy or new, but I enjoy it. It's the last thing I do every Friday. It's the good, the bad, the ugly, and what's next.
Yep.
So I have 5 things that were good. I make myself do at least one thing that was bad. I do 5 things that are like, what's next, what's coming up, and if ugly is rarely there, it's got like, that's reserved for really ugly things. But every week I just pause at the end of the week. I go, okay, what worked, what didn't, what am I doing that maybe I shouldn't be doing? But as you're talking about that, I think about some of our conversations about here, about Syracuse, about Utica, about Rochester, about Oswego and Binghamton and Cortland, and this core plus sign in the middle of the state of New York, as far as I can tell.
Yep.
And who can people ask? Am I ready? Hey, I think I'm ready. Am I ready? Who can people actually ask that question? And anyone out there can ask me anytime. Like, that's why it's so valuable to be on this thing, is like, as we talked about, there's great organizations. There's like places like TDO, if you're in the manufacturing space, that are there to help you.
Great
right?
group, great
They're
people.
the MEP. There's chambers of commerce that circle the city, like Liverpool and Plank Road, Onondaga. Like, these are people that are aggressively trying to help small and medium-sized businesses in this
and all the way to our friends in
Cortland.
Cortland
Chamber of Commerce, absolutely. Watertown Chamber of Commerce
Great
is in North
folks.
Country. Kayla, I believe, is her name. Wonderful, right? Utica, we're active in. There are actually people out there that people can talk to.
Yeah.
And this is their responsibility. This is what they want to do. Whether or not they could be small business owners like you and I,
right,
that genuinely are curious and want to avail ourselves to people that are ready to scale, but don't know, like, is it right? I'm not ever going to tell somebody they're ready.
Right.
I'm not going to be, you're ready. But I'll encourage them to believe that they are.
Right.
I'm not someone that's just going to tell people things. I want them to, come to it. So I don't want to be the person that's just like, you're ready, you're not, you're ready, you're not.
But because
fair.
Isn't it really what matters the most is what's their belief, right?
It's their minds, yes.
Right, and helping them get to a place where they do have comfortability with the belief that, I might not be perfect, to your earlier point, but I'm ready to jump in the water, and let's move ahead, right? Because guess what? I also understand that no success happens overnight. There is no such thing, and that anybody that travels this path to success has setbacks, right? And if you're not willing to fail, then don't jump in the water. Right, because that's the reality of it.
Maybe that's a whole other thing right there. It's this willingness to fail.
Yeah.
The reality, like you said, it takes time, a lot of time, more time than any of us really usually care to admit.
Right.
to get our feet under us with a new concept and something that we really believe in.
Right.
But, nevertheless, we persevere and we come out the other side. But not one of us did it alone.
No. Absolutely
Not
not.
one of us.
No.
I don't think. Maybe, I can't speak for obviously, but I certainly didn't.
I think
Whether
if
it's
any
my
of us
family,
are honest,
friends,
yeah, there's always people.
there's somebody.
Yeah.
But again, back to this area,
Mentors along the way.
mentors and people that they're having coffee.
Yeah. Somebody
they're
that
at
took an
Spill the
interest.
Tea, and they're
Yeah.
just like, hey, I heard this, and I talk to people all the time that they've relocated, they've come back, and it's the people.
Yeah.
It's the people around here. They're fantastic. So there are people to help, to have these conversations about readiness and one of them, and asking for help.
Yep.
There's a lot of help now. The economy, things have changed, like the way, I work fractionally. There's just different ways of reaching having access to resources that were otherwise out of reach before. And on a part-time project basis, just enough to get you to that next step. Like, there's a lot of different options out there, from things on Fiverr to, local options like we've put together. But
Yep.
Ready needs help.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great segue, because, one of the things you said, which I think we would be remiss if we don't mention during this conversation, is a big value that both of us bring to the table. Is it's not just us that these people have the opportunity to connect with if they are willing to have the conversation. It's all of our contacts we bring with us. And like yourself, and I know this about you because we've gotten to know each other, right? Like, I might not get business from business owner X, but if I realize that these two other people in my network can help them, I'm more than happy to make that connection and step back. And I don't have any stake in that. I'm not gaining $1 from that, and I'm okay with that. If I can, and I know that's, again, whether it's TDO, chambers of commerce, other business to business providers that may do something completely different than what you and I do. That's a huge value that we bring, is these networks that we have built up, right, through our own experiences in the local community.
And they're such good people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, again, I keep bringing it up. But, I'm a fan of my connections, my friends, my colleagues. Like, they're just really, really good people. And one of the underlying universal among is just this willingness to help, this lead with value. Like, yeah, I'll help you with that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's encouraging, and it also allows. This is one of the things I really find is, I'll just talk about my own readiness. Right, here I am, a few years into this, practice. We're 1 year into this Strategic Executive Alliance, and I'm almost ready. I feel like I'm almost ready, Mark. I'm this close, but it's true. It's like, look, there's a certain amount of being uncomfortable that you have to be comfortable with.
Yep.
And it can be mitigated to the extent that if you surround yourself with good people that know the things that you don't,
right,
you don't have to suffer quite so much, because you can ask a simple question, get a simple answer, and move forward, instead of feeling like you can't ask because you don't even know how to put it into words and they won't understand, and you could just dialogue.
Yep.
And so as we talk about, like, readiness, I've always encouraged anyone I've ever worked with I call it just ecosystem.
Yep.
Right. Do all your lead generation. I'm a sales guy. Lead gen all day, every day, blah, 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 all that stuff. But if someone's not a good target for you, do not get rid of them.
Yeah.
That's
never
why
know.
It's an hourglass, not a funnel. Like,
That's
you
right.
want to hold on to these people.
Yeah.
Because they might, what? I can't do that. But I would suggest you talk to Mark.
Yeah.
Go to Marco. He knows a thing or two about leadership.
I've had some great, it never ceases to amaze me. And it is so gratifying when I have a conversation with somebody and I'm like, yeah, I can't help you with that, but you know what? Let me think about that. And then I go reach out to one or two people in my network and say, hey, I got somebody that needs X. And they come back and they say, well, you know what? I can't do that, but call so-and-so or connect them with this person. And, like, boom, there it is, right?
Well, that's how, I think to play that into the business realm,
Yeah.
Like truly, like the economics of it all. It helps the local business
Sure.
economy to support the local business economy.
Sure.
Right. So that's such a part of what we all try to do. What you're explaining as well. You're not referring someone to California.
Right.
To whenever possible, it's somebody right here.
Yeah.
Right. And
Sure.
because we all have. You talked at the beginning about the opportunity that the area sees, and we've both been here long enough to hear and see both sides. And I plant firmly in my flag and on the optimistic side
Yeah.
of that, and that great things are already happening.
Yeah.
And it's a fear of mine that the small and medium-sized businesses here now are going to get not steamrolled necessarily, but worked over pretty good. Because they don't think they're ready.
Right. Right.
When in fact they may be ready enough to try.
Right.
And that's the level of ready I'm comfortable with.
Right.
Are we ready enough to try?
Are you ready enough to do what you need to do?
Are we okay failing at this?
Yeah.
And trying something else?
Right.
If that's yes, then let's get after it.
Yeah.
And that's who I want to serve.
Yep.
That's who I'm actively and aggressively trying to reach out to, are these people that are, they've been here.
Yep.
They want to stay here. They have, they're not going to be a prime. They're not going to be subprime, but they can make the thing that goes on there's just tremendous opportunity in the area. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, is for those companies. To try to, and I don't, look, the model is not for me to be there forever. It's for me to be there long enough to get the operations done, get the revenue moving, get you someone hired that can run it full time.
Yeah.
I'm out. Moving on.
Our true success, right, is helping them get to the place where they need to be and then moving on.
Yeah,
right?
create an opportunity for another, to fill that role with a central New York body. And if you want me to do something else in the company, I'll do something else in the company. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to like turn and burn.
Right.
But as far as that piece is concerned, that's really, really what I want to do.
Yeah.
And there's there's so much opportunity here.
Agreed.
For people.
Agreed. And that's
turn it up.
That's why I wanted to have this conversation. And I think in future episodes, we're going to carry on this conversation. And as we were talking before we started recording today, maybe doing this with a broader group of people, right? And potentially even maybe bringing in some small to mid-sized business owners to participate in those discussions. I just think there's a lot there, and like you said, very eloquently, right? I'm a local guy. I was born and raised here, spent most of my life here, and I think these are exciting times. I have only one regret. I wish I was 20 years younger, right? So that I'm going to be around longer, but who knows? If there's some longevity in my family, it's kind of a mixed bag, but who knows? But I love the fact that for the first time since I was a very, very young person, right, that this opportunity for this area to really see a paradigm shift is right here in front of us, and I think it's wonderful. So how, as you said, how can we help the local business community seize on those opportunities and take best advantage of those? That's the whole point. So I'd like to kind of wrap our session today with a call to action. And I know you and I had talked about this. We're going to put up contact information on the screen for people that are watching, and that will be both for Adam and I. We are both available individually or together. I'm sure we'd be happy to go in and meet somebody together or again individually for a free consultation. And that really would just be that initial conversation of where's your business at? What do you see as the opportunities? Where are you trying to get? And what might be some of the obstacles? And are there things we can do to help? And as we said, even if it's not direct help from one of us, we're more than happy to steer you to people that could certainly help you.
Yes, and I encourage anyone to take you up on it, or me, or both of us.
Same, yeah.
This is part of this, the way we're trying to contribute, yes and kind of a way.
Yep.
Is to say we recognize that there's a question here as to whether people know if and when they're ready.
Right.
So we're going to make ourselves available to have the conversation. We're not necessarily going to say yes, no, but we'll walk people through that piece of trying to figure out to what extent.
Yep.
And when's going to be the right time. And in the meantime, like during that, we all get to meet great people,
Yep.
share some information, just
Make
try
some
to
new
give it
friends.
away, make some new friends, but really just try to impart some knowledge that can help people move in the right direction, just
Right.
move forward, whatever extent that means. I mean, I can help you talk about revenue and all that stuff, but the work that you do in both operations and in leadership is so important. It's if you don't know where you're going, and it seems like something you can really help with is that alignment ahead of taking those steps.
And from your perspective, right, like operations don't matter if we don't have the sales to support all that, right? So driving an organization to really have a process, both structurally and thought-wise, on how we go and do that and how we can become a trusted partner, right, and not just a supplier, right? How we can really be seen as a value add, right, to our partners out there.
Collaboration.
Yep.
Is the goal.
Yep.
Right. Work together and make things better.
Yep. Adam, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
And as I'm not surprised, time has flown by, as do any of our conversations. Yeah. I look forward to having you back on soon.
I'd love to, and I very much appreciate it. And the production staff, ads on the go, sponsored by. Thanks for everybody.
Got that in there. Well, thank you again to Adam Feck, and thank you as always to Michael Brindisi and Danny. Danny, you are the man when it comes to social media. So thank you both, and we'll see you next time.